Serbia, if we have translation. Da li imamo prevod na srpskom, sa srpskog? Ima. Dobro. Pa pre svega dobar dan svima, dame i gospodo. Želim da se zahvalim pre svega.
First of all, I would like to bid you all good evening and thank the hosts for their very kind invitation. I would also like to thank the American Hellenic Chamber of Commerce, Minister Stathakis. Also, it is always a great pleasure and satisfaction for me to be in Greece amongst colleagues. Every day, and all such events are very important indeed. We are living in a sensitive geopolitical region where not only is economy a sensitive issue, but broadly, the issue of energy as a topic requires our attention. We have a very distinguished audience listening to this meeting, attending this meeting today. And I firmly believe that our cooperation is of the utmost importance. So, to give a brief answer to the question about whether Southeast Europe needs such master plans in the field of energy, well, I deeply believe that serious, powerful cooperation, strong cooperation is required so that we can jointly define our common goals. I shall try and be brief in my comments. In his presentation, Mr. Stathakis touched upon various issues, and I would like to point out some of these. We all have the same priorities, and if you ask any one of us about the two very basic issues on their agenda, I think our answers would all be the same: energy supply, diversification, energy market, and a larger share of alternative energy sources in the energy mix. I deeply support also that it is not possible for any country to achieve its goals on its own because energy knows no borders. It requires regional answers, a strong cooperation that can help so that each one of us on their own and all of us together can achieve energy security. And that's why, of course, we have the relevant ministries aiming to achieve energy security for our citizens. How can this be achieved?
And of course, especially in Western Balkans, we are at a very difficult position energy-wise because we depend on others, on imports. And for many decades, we've been lacking in infrastructure. We have, at a regional level, we have to identify our priorities. We have to identify our infrastructure needs and investment needs or financing needs. Unfortunately, when we talk about diversification and when we try to do something about that, we're always faced with the issue of financing. We have to build infrastructures. We have to create facilities. So we need funding, either on the part of the state or on the part of the European Union. or private bodies. And this holds not just for EU member states, but candidate countries as well. Today, we talk a lot about interconnection between Greece and Serbia, or Serbia and Bulgaria. But we haven't done everything in our power in order to find funding sources. And this is something that we have to share with our citizens. Diversification is a priority for our countries. And it has a price, and we have to pay that price. On the other hand, this is a small objective compared to the value of energy security. There's no moment during winter when I, as the Minister of Energy, can have a moment of peace, because what is always on my mind is that I have only one source of energy supply, which comes from Russia through Hungary. So this is a really huge burden, a dead end for us, and we are doing everything in our powers with our allies, with Greece, with Bulgaria, in order to find alternatives. Unfortunately, alternatives are sometimes related to sources of supply that are not very rich in gas. For example, Caspian Sea cannot supply us with very large quantities of gas. That's why we have to deal with other alternatives like gas from Cyprus. And in conclusion, I would like to say that Serbia is trying at a very fast pace to fill in the gaps that have been created in decades, especially and were enhanced by what the country has gone through in the past decades. And I'm in a happy position to say today that Serbia is a small country, but we do have investment in energy, which amounts to approximately 4 billion euros. We have been constructing facilities for alternative sources of energy and renewables. We hope that through our work we will manage to cooperate very closely with our neighbors, taking into consideration what I said in the beginning, that everything that is related to energy must have a regional and local perspective as well. Thank you very much.